All In Sports Network. We love sports.
Coming to you from the land of brisket and barbecue, Lone Stars and Longhorns, this is All In Colts, presented by the Unstable Blues.
Welcome back in. Anthony Richardson is back. So instead of the two oldest quarterbacks against each other, it will be the oldest versus the youngest. We will get into all the keys to the game, matchups to watch, and our predictions. So let's go All In Colts.
That's right. I'm Kevin. This over here is my son Liam, and we are the Unstable Blues. Happy to present All In Colts as part of the Rogue Media Sports Network.
Oh yeah. First off, before anything else, Colts Corner Bulletin. The Colts have the number one tackler with Zaire, 2 of the top 3 with Nick Cross at 3, and 3 of the top 10 with EJ Speed tied for the 8th position. I just checked these today, actually. So I looked at that. I was like, let's go Colts. Let's go defense.
Yep. That's right. I mean, some of that is a product of our defense is on the field quite a bit, and maybe more than we want. But you know what? Stat leaders are stat leaders, and, once again, do you want a safety at the top? Maybe not, but he's just like he has become a beast and has a nose for the ball. Almost has become almost like a 3rd/4th linebacker at times.
Well,
So,
I mean, I told you I checked the things, and 2 of the top 3 are secondary. The second is Budda Baker, who is a safety as well.
Yeah.
So is there a shift in defenses now?
Just like that everybody like talking about this too high shell and and the resurgence of the running back and everything. So maybe there's some differences that's happening. So the Colts lead the all-time series with the Jets 44-32, with the Colts winning 3 of the last 4, including the last 2 meetings. Those were with Phillip Rivers and Carson Wentz at quarterback. This one, of course, will be a matchup between the oldest quarterback currently starting in the league and the youngest quarterback in the National Football League.
Yep.
Way different than it was a few days ago.
Yes. Just what, 3 days ago?
Yep.
Or 4, whatever it is.
2 days ago. 2 days ago.
2 days ago.
Yep.
All right.
What are your keys to the game, sir?
Yeah, keys to the game. Run the ball and keep running the ball with this guy.
Right out of the gate.
Him going. 5 carries in the second half.
Yep.
Against the Bills. That is not.
This has been a strange, puzzling, disturbing pattern for the Colts. They
run the ball a lot. It's successful.
Disappears in the fourth quarter.
And it just goes away.
It's like they forget. They get into game panic situation. If you keep running consistently, not just on first down, but consistently vary it up, I think there can be success. I think you're on to something. If they would just listen to our podcast and take our advice, I think we'd be all right.
Yeah. I would say attack Sauce Gardner as well.
Okay.
I can go with the keys with the matchups to watch. I'll tell you who.
Okay.
Attack Sauce Gardner, make him do something.
Okay.
I feel like the way he plays, kind of he just sits there, kind of waits for the receivers to come to him, type of thing. Not as in he's playing far back. He's still pressing and stuff, but like he's not making the first move. He's waiting for the receivers to.
Gotcha.
And he's playing
reactionary.
Off of that. Yes, he's reactionary rather than
being proactive.
Committing. Rather than committing to something. Make him commit.
Okay.
I mean, we are an inside running team, but their defensive line is built for the interior. So I would say switch it up, run towards the outside. You have JT who has speed. JT's biggest run of the game last week was an
Yep.
outside run with a pulling Quentin Nelson. That is a
Yep.
very, very scary thing to go up against. So do that more.
Yep. Secondary guys out there making business decisions going, nope.
Exactly. And then Quentin Nelson's going to hit you with a on the defensive side of the ball, let the tacklers feed. I say this every week. Let them feed. Gus, you've been doing a pretty good job as of recent. We'll see if you think that in the matchups to watch later on.
Yep. Maybe.
As you
I
said
don't
it's fired or fixed. I have a feeling I know what you're going to say, but so other than that, I think A-Rod likes to he likes to play the short game a lot. Short, short, long, short, short, long, kind of classic football for passing. On special teams, they have a very talented special teams, I would say. So be extra cautious on that. Whoever's getting the punts, don't muff them. Secure them before anything else. And then I'm gonna throw one other thing in there that's not normally put in. You're facing the king of Hail Marys. He has already completed one this season. Don't be the second. Don't put yourself in a position where that's going to happen, because you're more than likely going to lose it.
I will begin where you ended, simply because it is poetic. My last one was going to be the same thing as your first one. Play all 60 minutes, because I put it this way. It isn't over until Aaron Rodgers hails a Mary.
I like it.
Little play on the old adage of it's not over till the fat lady sings. You never know. And as we saw this year, it could be in the first half. So you have to literally play all 60 minutes, even if that's in the middle. Like every single second, you must play it, because you don't know what he's going to do. Pressure him, Aaron Rodgers. Attack that questionable offensive line, especially in pass protection. They're pretty good at run blocking. Pass protection is questionable.
Especially with how much different people you have on the defensive line.
Oh, yeah.
You have so much talent.
Like, I've said this at one point during the season as well. I'm okay if you only leave just Grove or just Buck or just Raekwon in there and run 3 edge rushers up the middle. Put Dio and Latu and Quiddy in there at the same time, right? And blitz them. I don't care. Come on, Gus. Stop Breece Hall and the screen game. It's like, I feel like the Colts forget all the time that the running back can come out and be eligible out of the backfield. They think that if it doesn't get handed off, well, he's blocking. Take care of Breece Hall and the screen game. And then also, the Colts have a difficult time remembering that there is a second running back a lot of times. Like, they prepare so hard for the first running back that, so be careful with Braylon Allen, because he's good too. And just enough different. He's a lot like JT, honestly. Something about that Wisconsin running backs, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, and then I have some specific ways that I've studied on how to play some of these guys, okay? Here we go. So it's this kind of matchups to watch, but this is how to play these guys. Press man with help on Garrett Wilson. So basically double cover over the top, but press man. He doesn't do well with press at the top, and he's not going to blow by you. He doesn't have that release, right? So press man with help over top with Garrett Wilson. Inside leverage off coverage with help on Devontae. Devontae will kill you at the line of scrimmage if you press him. He will absolutely just take your lunch, so to speak. So you got to play him off, but also you want to go inside leverage. Give him the outside because there's only so much he can do out there. Give him the outside. Have help over the top. Okay, so that's 2 guys you got to double cover. That's going to leave you one-on-one, but I'm okay with Kenny being able to take that, right?
Yeah.
Whoever that is, whether that's Malachi Corley, whether that's Xavier Gibson, whatever that is. Protect the ball. Take the ball.
I like it. Yep.
I mean, the whole take the ball thing has been shooting up. Okay. It's the whole protect the ball thing that needs fixed at this point. There's been 7 turnovers in the past 2 games, I believe. Maybe 6. The Vikings game was 3 or 2. It was 4. It was 4 last game.
Yeah. It was
2, right?
Flacco threw
it was 2 because it was tied. 2 turnovers to 2
right.
turnovers.
Yes.
So 6 turnovers a pass, whatever. Way too many, especially last game.
Now part of the problem is not there though.
Right, the Flacco isn't there, but it doesn't. Anthony Richardson wasn't the most secure as far as decision making with the ball, especially his last time out. Against Houston. Bye. So
Computer's about to die again. I need to plug it in. I didn't think it was going to run out this fast.
Should I wait for you? Or you want me to keep going?
Keep going.
All right, I'll just keep going. I'm talking to you, not you, but I'm talking to you. Okay, so
I'm here again. We're good.
You got turnovers make a huge difference, right? It is very rare for you to have 5 interceptions in a game and still be able to win the game, right? That doesn't happen very often. It takes a Dan Campbell kind of team to get that done. I don't think we have a Dan Campbell kind of team.
No.
So on offense, take what the defense gives you. Patience is the key. Okay. At the same time, you have to throw with anticipation. This is one thing that I was looking at I was looking at some different things. Russell Wilson was not great at this, got himself into trouble in the opener. Now defense has changed since then, but Brock Purdy did amazing at throwing with anticipation, right? He knew what the coverage was, because the problem is the Jets play very sticky man coverage. They do. Across the board. Very seldom, at least from the film I watched, do they play very much zone. It's sticky man. And so, but part of that is Davis, number 21, is, I believe, a liability. So and he's a safety. So if you see him coming up in coverage, go at him.
Pierce.
I don't care who it is. Go at 21. He's a liability, in my opinion. Screen pass and check downs. Because of the sticky man, if you can get stuff going, there will be open space on those screen passes and check downs. That means planned and off platform throws to the running back out of the backfield. Both.
Yep.
Yards after the catch is going to be huge in this game, right? So Downs, JT, Adonai Mitchell, Ashton Doolin, Pitt, like all those, not that Pierce can't, but Pierce just hasn't shown that to be in his wheelhouse.
Yeah.
So that's my.
I actually forgot 2 things.
Okay.
Well, I left one just in case you wanted to say it.
Okay.
You didn't say it though, so I'll take it. Time of possession.
Good one.
A big thing.
Have not won that yet this year.
We have not. Which I don't know if we will with AR. That's kind of unlike AR, because he's the big plays.
But
I
we
want
need
him to play a little bit methodical, though.
he needs to turn over a new leaf. This is that opportunity.
Yes. And this is kind of a new thing, kind of a new run the ball, keep running the ball type thing for me.
All right.
I've said it the past couple of weeks, so I think we can make it a staple. Ben, don't break defense.
Okay. Yeah.
So pretty typical. Just another thing I needed to add in there.
Yeah. All right. What are your matchups to watch then?
I mean, I
Who's
think
going at Sauce? I gotta
who's
know.
going at Sauce? You gotta know? I think if Pitt's back, it's gonna be Pitt. If Pitt isn't back, I think it's Pierce going at Sauce. I feel like Sauce is more of a deep kind of guy, cover deep, or he's against your number one, or he's covering deep. One of the two.
Okay.
And since if Pitt isn't in there, our clear number one is the slot, and he doesn't do slot, then I think he'd be covering deep, and Pierce is the deep guy. So Pierce, attack him. Pittman, attack him. Just because you're not getting the ball, it does not mean you're not doing something. Pierce knows that from last season, obviously.
Yep. Sometimes you just got to clear Sauce out of there.
Exactly.
Yep.
It's kind of like Stephon now in Houston. I mean, obviously not anymore playing, but whenever all three of those wide receivers were in there, Stephon was just a presence.
Yeah.
He wasn't necessarily getting the big plays like he did with the Bills, but he was a presence.
Yeah.
And then the interior linemen versus interior offensive linemen versus whether that be Ryman or Bortolini or Nelson, whoever it is, versus Quinn and Williams, and I forget who the other D tackle is, but they're both really solid. Just that interior defensive line versus interior offensive line. I feel like that's a big part of this game. I think this will be a big battle of the trenches. I say that a decent amount, but I really believe this game is a nitty-gritty. Both teams are nitty-gritty. Get down, run the ball, open up the pass game like that. And then
sound like Chris Ballard there a little bit. Trenches, lots of trenches.
Yeah. And then whoever's on Brees Hall, whether that be Latu, who's going to drop in coverage if he's on his side, because I've seen Latu do that a bit. He's quite good at it, I'd say.
Yeah.
Or if it's Zaire, Speed, whoever it is on Brees Hall or Braylon Allen, or if they're both out there. I would love to see some Grant Stewart out there as well on the running back. I think he kind of has that nose for the ball. Go after it, get it. And then the deep balls with Devontae or Garrett Wilson or whoever it is, the deep balls versus Blackman and Cross.
All right. I've got either Alec Pierce or Adonai Mitchell or MPJ against Sauce. I don't know who it's going to be.
Could be
any of them. And I think each of them bring their own different skill set to that. And so maybe it's not a bad idea if you can determine early on in the game if Sauce is lining up on one side, vary up who he's against so he can't get used to anybody, right?
Yeah.
Especially if what you're saying is true, that he doesn't, press and go to the point of attack on his own, then you're going to have him even more on his heels if he's always lining up against somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's Bernard Ryman, who gets back from his knee, may not happen. He has not practiced as far as we know, excuse me, or Matt Gonsalves versus Hazan Reddick.
Yep.
He's back. He wreaked a bit of havoc. And so, it's just going to get worse as he gets more in game shape. So that's going to be a big job for the left tackle. JT versus CJ Mosley. their middle linebacker. As I've said, it's the line's job to take care of the line. It's the running back's job to take care of the linebacker and shake him. So that's where that's at. I've got two people against two different things that Breece Hall does. So Grant Stewart versus Breece Hall on the outside. Zaire Franklin versus Breece Hall on the inside.
I think Zaire wins the battle on the inside easily.
But it takes two different people to attack or to come after the two different styles that Breece Hall can do, right?
Yeah.
And Braylon Allen for that matter, right? And I think that those two are both suited for those individual responsibilities.
I agree.
Jalen Jones versus Devontae Adams. Sam Womack versus Garrett Wilson. Once again, I already laid out how I think is best to defend them, so you got to watch over the top, but those would be my picks to, I think each of those makes sense. I went back to the last time the Colts played the Raiders last year. It was Juju against Devontae at that point. And Juju's not there, so it's got to be JJ.
Yeah. I mean, in my opinion, I think JJ is better than Juju was then.
Yeah, I mean,
we'll see.
Juju hasn't had enough consistency on the field,
Yeah.
Once again, the best availability or the best ability is availability.
Yeah.
Leatu Latu versus Tyron Smith or Dio Dangbo. Whatever it is, gonna have some youth against that experience on the outside there. And then the last one. It's not fixed quite yet. I told you last week. I need to see it for 2 weeks. 2 more weeks. I saw it last week, and I'm gonna keep saying it until it's fixed or it's fired.
Okay.
If it's fixed this week, I can say it's fixed, and I don't have to say this next week.
Do you think it's at a point where it's just until it's fixed, not until it's fixed or fired? Do you think that Gus Bradley can fix it?
That's a complicated question because of everything else that's happening in the organization.
Okay.
Because the stuff goes top down, and he's not at the top. So he got lucky having Shane there. Normally the head coach comes in and wants all of his own team. He got fortunate that he's worked with Shane in the past, and they've worked well, and he got to stay there and keep all the defensive guys there. He got lucky once. I don't know if he'd get lucky again if something like that were to happen.
Yeah.
Not saying it will, but, man, there's been lots of discussions about, who needs to stay and mostly who needs to go. And I've been one of the voices saying that everybody needs to go based on what's happened the past 2 weeks. Now, if Anthony Richardson comes back and he shows promise and everything looks good and the defense keeps doing what they're doing, and the Colts make it to the playoffs and, make a run, maybe nothing changes, and maybe that's not a great thing because Chris Ballard doesn't look great right now.
Yeah, I agree. I would say that is probably the number one thing that has to go.
And let's be honest, now we don't know what happened behind closed doors. We're not in the facility. We're not even in the same state. But man, if Irsay is sticking his nose in things, sorry, that was really bad because he used to have a problem with some drugs there. If Irsay is making decisions that, let's be honest, he doesn't need to be making in his current health state, I've said he should just go ahead and pass on the ownership to his daughters. Let them get rid of Chris. Let them figure out if things need restructured. Let's pass the baton well, right? Let's learn how to pass the baton well. One of the keys to leadership is knowing how to end well, how to pass on leadership. I think it's time. All that to say, my last matchup to watch is Gus Bradley versus Todd Downing. Downing is not the OC. He's not the offensive coordinator, but he is the play caller after Robert Saleh was fired.
Right.
Because it was determined that Nate.
Don't know.
He was the coach of the Broncos for a little bit. He was with Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay, I think. Name's escaping me right now, but he was not doing the job well. So that's my matchups to watch. Who is your all-in player to watch?
I was kind of thinking about this. I was thinking, I'm like, do I want to go someone on defense? I'm like, no, I'm not going to do anyone on defense. So I think it has to be Josh Downs with the quarterback switch. Whether or not Downs gets targeted a decent amount, I'd really like for him too. I think he is one of the main key points of our offense, like Isaiah has mentioned multiple times to us. Yep. If you don't use Josh Downs correctly, you normally don't have offense productivity.
There you go.
I think the two big parts of our offense are JT and Downs. And I think with the quarterback switch, Flacco liked to use Downs a lot. Did last season, obviously because of the reception count and stuff. Now that was also Minshew, not just AR, but AR was using Downs as well. After all, they were throwing footballs back and forth in the hotel parking lot.
Right.
So they have chemistry. I just need to see that on the field.
All eyes are going to be on Anthony Richardson.
Yep.
We got to see it. Like, to me, he has to come out and prove it. Right? I was thinking about this earlier too. Like, we talk about must-win games, and that Titans game seemed like a must-win game. You're sitting at 4-6, 2.5 games ish, kind of back in because you don't have the tiebreaker against Houston in the division, and only one game out of the playoff picture at this point.
Yeah, and you're playing an AFC team, which
you're playing
has implication.
Yeah, absolutely. You're playing an AFC team on the road against a really good potential on paper offense that has not performed. You cannot pull a classic Colt thing and let this one get away.
Yeah.
And it's going to come down to Anthony Richardson. Can he come out and perform like he should? All right.
I like it.
Prediction time, winner and score.
I think that the Colts are going to get it done. I think they're going to win 20-17.
All right. I have something very specific. I'm not going to risk it for the brisket. I know.
Come on.
I know. But it's because to me, this is a poetic thing. We have not talked about Spencer Schrader being the Jets kicker this week after being on and off the Colts practice squad about, 15,000 times already this season.
Yeah.
That's hyperbole. You can't technically do that 15,000 times.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say it's a Jets win 16-14. Spencer Schrader gets his revenge goes 3 for 3, 2 for 2, 50 plus, and Matt Gay is going to miss a 50 plus or somewhere in there.
Okay.
So that's where I'm at.
I can see that.
That's all for this week. We'll be back next week with the Jets game. Our look around the AFC South, the Colts players, fantasy stats and projections, as well as our weekly prediction show and our preview of the Colts in the Indiana Knights going against the Lions.
Yep. This is Liam.
And this is Kevin.
Reminding you to stay all in Colts.
All in Sports Network. We love sports.